Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the second part of The Lord of the Rings, and this one is called The Two Towers. I believe. Let me look, because I forget. Yes, The Two Towers. And if you watched my previous video, The Fellowship of the Ring, I had mentioned that I might not have enough lunch times to get through it, but I did. I got through it, and I'm fixing to start the third part of the book, which is The Return of the King. As you know from my first video on this particular series, I really enjoy The Lord of the Rings. I enjoy the characters and everything about it. I enjoy being brought into that fantasy, and I really, really felt like I was there. Like I was in the room when all of these things were happening, or in the cave, or on the side of the whatever it was that they were going through. This story starts off without Frodo and without Sam, and also without Pippin and Merry. I was trying to combine the two, trying to be efficient. Yeah. And we start out with Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, and they have to take Boromir home. So they're all wondering where the heck everybody's at. They get Boromir home to, is it Rohan? And they pick up King Theoden there. And they get into a mess at, what was the name of this place? I just had it in my head. The something something. The something something? Something Hill. Something Helm's Gate. Maybe that's where the hill H came from. So when they were fighting the orcs in Helm's Deep, I wrote a note that said they could really use some dragons. And I don't know if there's any other dragons in this land at all. I don't know what else Tolkien wrote about this land. I haven't read any other works besides The Hobbit and these two parts of The Lord of the Rings. So I don't know, but I kept thinking of A Song of Ice and Fire and the dragons in that book, or in those books, particularly in the TV series Game of Thrones, when they were on a battlefield and the dragon just came down and just burnt everything up. And I was like, that's what they need. That's what they need. But suddenly what they had, speaking of suddenly, get to that in a minute, what they had were the tree folk. So, the Ents, and there are different, I don't know if there are different species of Ents or more like different tribes of these tree people. And they really have it out for the orcs, because the orcs came and tore everything apart. So hold on one second. I need to take care of my puppy dog. And so the Ents, at least these particular Ents, they really had it out for the orcs, as I was saying, because the orcs came through and tore apart the forests. And the forests are living things. And these Ents, Fanghorn and his, or Treebeard as he's called, they're really upset, and they take a really, really long time to come around to making decisions, because, as you know, most trees, or at least these types of trees, are very slow growing. And it takes them a really long time to make decisions. Now, I got us to Helm's Deep, but let me back up just a little bit, because we meet up with Pippin and Merry. I almost said Perry again. So we met up with Pippin and Merry, and they encountered the trees. And so they were with the trees and learned of the history. And they had a council and decided they were going to help Merry and Pippin. And so that's how they ended up at Helm's Deep, along with Gandalf and a few other men. A few other armies were in tow. And because the Ents are like, we're not messing around with you guys, orcs. We're going to get you. The orcs were terrified of them, and they took off running. But there were streams of orcs. I thought, there's no way that these guys are going to survive this unless a dragon comes through or some miracle happens. And that was the miracle, that the Ents showed up. And as in the television, or I'm sorry, not the television series, but the movie series, Gimli and Legolas do keep track of their kills. So as they're taking down orcs, they're keeping track. They're in a competition, and it's really funny. So I said the word suddenly a little while ago, and that is because our dear Mr. Tolkien continues to say suddenly this, suddenly that, suddenly this other thing, and it just still cracks me up. It's like, what? Suddenly, suddenly, suddenly. Now, maybe that was the appropriate. Ooh, I have a hair tickling me. Maybe that was the only way that he could describe what he was seeing in his mind's eye. It just cracks me up, being a linguist and all, that he chose to use the word suddenly a lot. We learn about the what is it called? I don't know how to say this. The palantir, the palantir, the palanta. I don't know, but it's a ball, and you can use it to see into like what's going on around the world. And they managed to get it away from Saruman. I had to go back in here because sometimes I mix up Sauron and Saruman. And I also mentioned that Gandalf showed back up. Yeah, because remember at the end, or in the middle of the Fellowship of the Ring, he beat the Balrog and was killed doing that. Only he wasn't really killed. He's a wizard. So he had to go through some stuff, and he came back, and now he's Gandalf the White as opposed to Gandalf the Gray. So he's a little bit stronger, a little more powerful. But they try to get Sauron, or Saruman, to turn back, to stop trying to follow the dark side. And he just wouldn't. He just wouldn't. And it was really, really sad. It's like, come on, you're Saruman the White. You're supposed to be like of the same caliber as Gandalf. He was supposed to be more powerful than Gandalf, but he turned to the dark side. And I'm reading a little note. I have a note in my book, and I'm trying to figure out why did I write this down? Oh, they all meet up with Pippin and Merry again. And Pippin says, "Do not meddle in the affairs of wizards, for they are subtle and quick to anger." And that's a quote by somebody named Gildor. Now, I'm not all well versed into who all of these different people are, but that cracked me up. Not really cracked me up, but it really stuck with me because they are very subtle. They don't speak in like, because they have so much going on in their heads, they're anticipating things, and they're looking forward, they're looking backwards, they're looking into everything that they know, that when you ask them a question that you would think would be a simple question, it is not. And Gandalf speaks in these long, soliloquies about things, and Pippin actually goes to sleep because Gandalf was doing that about the Palantir, and he went to sleep because of it. And that's because he is very subtle. He doesn't speak in firm, tangible things. He's always thinking about all kinds of different things, and he's trying not to make promises that he knows he can't keep, that he doesn't know how things are going to turn out. And don't forget, we do see Frodo again. So in the middle of the two towers, we run into Sam and Frodo, and the stuff that's taking place with Sam and Frodo is taking place simultaneously as Aragorn and that party. And so we go back to when they took off and separated from Aragorn and that party at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring. And they know that they're being followed, and they're being followed by Smeagol, because of course, Smeagol and Gollum. And they're trying to get Smeagol to help them. But before then, now Sam doesn't like Smeagol. He doesn't trust him for nothing. And he does have something that he calls him, like Sneaker and Snacker Sneak. I don't remember. But it was really funny to me that he has these double names for him, depending on which part of his personality is speaking. So it's like Gollum and Smeagol are two personalities in the same body. And one of them is really, really after the ring, his precious, and the other one wants to be a nice Smeagol. And at one point, Sam and Frodo climb down a cliff, and they're waiting to see if Gollum is going to follow, and he does follow. He manages to get down. But Sam started saying something about Gollum. He said he can try his nasty flappy feet on those ledges. It just cracked me up because it just sounded so funny. Nasty flappy feet on the ledges. And that made me think of the cartoon. I don't remember when this cartoon came out. I think it was in the 70s, called The Hobbit. And the way that they portray Gollum in that one is what I saw in my head when I was reading this. This nasty flappy feet just cracked me up. Eventually, they run into Faramir. And Faramir is like, who are you? And what are you doing? And what's a hobbit? And all this kind of stuff. And they actually earned his trust. They make it to Gondor. They make it to Mordor. And they're trying to figure out how to get in. And as this part of the trilogy ends, Frodo has been taken by the orcs again because they snuck through a tunnel that had a giant, huge, very old spider in it. Y'all may remember that if you watched the films. What was her name? I don't remember her name. I know it started with a SH. What was her name? Anyway, when I remember her name, I'll put it up in here. So she had gotten a hold of them after they thought they had stopped her. So Sam went all bananas and tried to kill the spider. And Frodo was so happy that he could see the end of the tunnel that he just started running. And Sam was like, what are you doing? And the spider acted like she, was hurt and all that kind of stuff. But she had actually gotten a hold of Frodo and had stung him in some kind of paralyzing venom. And so Sam thinks he's dead, and now he's freaking out. He's like, I don't know what to do. Should I take the ring on, or should I stay with Frodo? What should I do? And he decides that he's going to take the ring and try to finish out the quest. Only he changes his mind, and he goes back, and he hears the orcs. And I can't remember, even though I just finished this like the day before yesterday. He did. He put on the ring. I just happened to be at the chapter or at the part in the story that he did, because I was trying to remember if he put the ring on or not. But he did, so that he can sneak and see what they were doing with Frodo, because the orcs came back through. So they go back and forth between this pass, these tunnels, and they always risk the wrath of the spider that lives in there. And they found Frodo and took him. And Frodo is all wrapped up in webbing. So the spider had just rolled him up in webbing, like you see with a regular old spider when they have prey stuck in their webs. They'll wrap them up and save them for later. And the orc said, he's still alive. And there's something moving outside my window. Birds. Birdies! So he finds where they're going with them. So they took him. And that is where we ended. And that was the end of this particular part of the story. And I've started Return of the King, book 5. And in book 5, they are in Gondor. So they went to Gondor with Gandalf, and that's Perry. I did it again. Pippin and Merry are with Gandalf. But that is the third part of the story. I enjoyed it. I really did. If you don't like really long, what is it called? Oh my gosh. Exposition, when they're just talking about a lot of things and the characters are talking about stuff and you're like, but where's the action? The action's coming. They're just giving you a little bit of a background, a little bit about these people. If you don't enjoy that kind of stuff and just want to get into the action, then maybe these books aren't for you. Gandalf is very long-winded. He likes to talk. Again, it seems like he's talking about nothing, but he's not. He's actually talking about stuff that he knows. But as I said before, he's very subtle, and he keeps a lot of stuff very close to his chest. Like, he's not going to give all the answers out because he doesn't know how things are going to unfold. He just knows that we've got to do this and we've got to do that, and this is what happens if this and this is what happens if that. Those kind of things. He knows that he's at the mercy of the choice of the company of folks that went on this quest with him. Go to your library. Go check out this book. Okay, I do have links down in the description for where you can find more of Tolkien's work, more about him, and more about the Lord of the Rings. I am getting ready to start the third. As I said already, I started The Return of the King, which is part 3 of this series. It's actually one whole book made up of 3 parts. I thought it was an actual trilogy with each book being its own, but it's not. It's all part of this one book. Check out your library, see if you like it. That way you don't waste money on books that you may not like, even if it is Tolkien. It's okay if you don't like Tolkien. Not everybody does. I enjoy it because I like fantasy. And I love going into the world of elves and dwarves and all of those creatures. And the hobbits are just fascinating. I love how they live. I think as I get older, I'm becoming a hobbit. I like being at home. Anyway, y'all, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. Okay, we don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Okay, just be nice, be kind, pass on a kind word. Don't be mean, don't be spiteful. Be courteous to other people. All right. And when you're down in the comments, which, by the way, I'd love for you to tell me what you're reading. If you've read the Lord of the Rings series, tell me what you thought about it. Did you finish it? Did you watch the movies? Did you think that they were comparable, or did you treat them as separate entities? I would love to know. If you have any book recommendations for me, put them down in the comments, all right? I'd love to hear about it. I may read them. I have a list of books to read, still working on my list, but I will fit in whatever you recommend at some point. But don't be offended if I don't get to it. Maybe not this year. Maybe I'll get to it next year. Yeah, we're halfway through the year already. Can you believe it? It's almost the start of summer. I know that a lot of people think that it starts around Labor Day. That's generally when swimming pools open. And I guess that's when a lot of schools go on vacation. So they think that summer starts then. It's June 21st, which is, guess what? Tomorrow. I think it's June 21st. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, we're getting ready to hit the summer equinox. I get the solstices and the equinoxes mixed up, but I will put that all in here somewhere, and I'm on a tangent again. Y'all have a great day. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!